Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to another round of Reaction Talk with me, Robert Carter, and Roshan Saleh. We're going to be reacting to some of the biggest news stories happening this week, not just in the UK but around the world, but of course with a special focus on the ongoing massacre that's taking place against the Palestinians in Gaza and elsewhere in occupied Palestine. But before that, let's kick off with our very first discussion, which keeps us here in the UK. The former Home Secretary Suella Braverman, who I've referred to as Bonkers Braverman previously on this programme, has been sacked by the Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, and this follows a round of violent scenes which we saw on the weekend as right-wing thugs mobilised to protect the cenotaph from pro-Palestine solidarity marches and ended up engaging in violent clashes with the police. Roshan, you were there on the weekend along with myself. Tell me, what do you make of this entire story?
Well, I think it was a win-win for the Muslims because all the focus beforehand was on this massive hate march, this Muslim hate march, anti-Semitic hate march, which turned out to be completely peaceful, even though there were like 800,000 people there or something like that. And all the attention was on the right-wing knuckle draggers, as you described them.
The Tommy Robinson sorts.
The Tommy Robinson sort that lived up to that reputation of being knuckle draggers and obnoxious, going around being really horrible to lots of people, attacking the police. And that was effectively Suella Braverman's army, you know, because she'd whipped up all the tension and the hatred beforehand, and they followed through, which obviously led to her sacking. So I was loving it from the perspective of, you know, the tension wasn't on the Muslims, it was on the right wing, and they sold all the headlines that day, which is fine by me, and it led to Braverman sacking.
Yes, absolutely. And I think, yes, like you say, it's a win for the Palestinian cause as well as a win for the Muslim side of it, because Batty Braverman, Bonkers Braverman, whatever you want to call her, she's been an absolute nutter in the position. She's been criticising everyone, smearing everyone, calling anyone who supports Palestine a hateful mob, she referred to it. And at the same time, she was even condemning the police as well. She was going against her own government by writing all these articles. She was absolutely crazy. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, I mean, she's not fit. I wouldn't employ her to, you know, run a corner shop, quite frankly, let alone be Home Secretary. There's something wrong with her, but unfortunately, we have very poor politicians in this country. I mean, in terms of their intelligence, in terms of their ability, it's getting worse and worse. I mean, back in the day when you had Tony Blair and David Cameron, I didn't like either of these people. Obviously, Blair especially was a war criminal, but you could tell that he had a certain intelligence to him. Whereas the politicians that we have today, like Johnson and Braverman, they're actually quite thick. I mean, they're literally thick people. You and me are much more intelligent. I'm not saying we're massively intelligent, but you know, we would completely overshadow them in terms of intelligence. They're really thick as two short planks. And yeah, she's not fit to be Home Secretary or run a corner shop.
She's crazy, I think. Yeah, it's like you said last week, she should be in a white coat put in a mental institution, to be honest. She's just shouting at clouds and doesn't seem to know what day of the week is.
But unfortunately, she's positioning herself to be leader of the Conservative Party when the Conservatives probably lose the next elections. That's why she's gone for Rishi Sunak. And she has a good chance of becoming the leader of the Conservative Party. And who knows, being a future Prime Minister just proves how poor our politicians are in this country if she has a chance of getting anywhere near the top office.
Absolutely. Now, I was obviously there with you on Saturday. I actually visited the cenotaph after we heard the news of the violence. It finished by then, unfortunately, so I missed all the action.
Unfortunately.
Well, unfortunately for me filming what was going on, but basically it all finished by then. But walking down, they talk about how London is apparently an unsafe space for Jews, for example, who don't feel safe. As someone who supports Palestine, as a Muslim, someone who may get recognised because of my media work, walking down that street, I felt really intimidated. There was all these louts in pubs, police everywhere. I could overhear people as I walked past saying, "Oh, bloody Muslims this, bloody Muslims that, jihadists this, jihadists that." And we'd already seen the violence that occurred there, so it definitely felt unsafe space to be for a Muslim, and I could blend in because I'm obviously...
Your white skin saved you.
So exactly, my skin saved the day. But let's play out a clip now, a reaction of something I did film. It was one of these Tommy Robinson types down there hurling abuse at the police who were protecting the cenotaph from basically people like him.
Protection from one group of people. We f***ing fight for that. We f***ing fight for it. That is our f***ing holy land. That is our holy land. This is our faith. Okay? No, I asked the question. Okay, about that. Who you protecting? Because he said he's protecting me. I want to know who from. Because it ain't us lot. Last week I was here with my wife. Okay? Walked down the road and these fuckers left to the west. Jihad, and not one of you bastards were inside. Not one of you. And that's the facts of what video. I was with my wife. We had a suitcase with a Danish tourists. We weren't no. You what? Did you say that last week to them fuckers? No, you did you fucking cowards. Okay, but you're smart on us. The people that will protect you when you get attacked.
You'll be the last one.
When you
So these are Suella Braverman's supporters, I guess. I mean, that's what she's pandering to, is this extremist conspiracy theorist, poor understood position where basically Muslims are the enemy, Palestine is evil somehow. This is what she's created, this phony, made up world where, I don't know, like the cenotaph was never under threat from the pro-Palestine marches. Let's just put that clear. It was never ever under any threat whatsoever. But she's now convinced these the naive, the ignorant in our society, that is somehow true. And now I think there's been attacks on Muslims. We've seen. I think that the Islamophobic environment has gone through the roof, but no one's talking.
I think
about
it has. Yeah, the stats. We'll do a story on that if I put it shortly. Actually, I mean, the Great Unwashed, isn't it? Descend on London, and I mean that guy's married. He says he's got a wife. I mean, feel sorry for his wife, married to that fat blob, a fat thick blob. And I mean, you could tell the level of intelligence there. I mean,
well, these guys respect Tommy Robinson. He basically showed up, started a riot, and fled the scene in a taxi. It was all over the papers.
Right, see you, lads. Like, I'll just watch the riot on TV in the comfort of my own home. I mean, unfortunately, that is. Oh, sorry. Gonna have to.
I knew that this was going to happen.
Sorry, should we just?
I knew this was going to happen.
Should I answer it? Sorry, brother, I'm in the middle of an interview. Can I call you back?
We communicate well.
All right, salam.
We're grassroots. We're in touch with the community at all times, even during a show.
That was my drug dealer.
Was that Tommy Robinson calling you in? That was Tommy Robinson calling you up, asking for a fight or something.
Let me turn my phone off. Very unprofessional.
It gives us a chance to go in and expand this story. Let me bring up what's been happening, because moving back to the Palestine march now and Suella Braverman's legacy, the police have been engaging in, and supporting censorship, the cancel culture, targeting the Palestine protesters. And every week now there's this trend where supporters of Israel go to these marches, it seems, and take pictures of signs they don't like, and then they start plastering them everywhere online, and basically trying to get the police to investigate all of these pro-Palestine activists. One went absolutely viral because there's a massive dispute over its meaning and whether or not it's offensive. It's this image here of a woman holding up a sign with Rishi Sunak, Suella Braverman, and coconuts. Roshan, just explain what's going on here. What's this mean?
Well, the first point I want to make is that the police were desperate to nab some Muslims that day because the pressure was on them from the far right and right-wing politicians to basically crack down on this anti-Semitic hate march, which wasn't that. So all the violence was obviously on the far right side, and all the most of the arrests, or like 90% of the arrests were as well. But the police were under a lot of pressure to get some Muslims. So they're resorting to absolutely desperate measures. Now, obviously the word coconut means, brown on the outside, white on the inside. So it's a widely used expression by all ethnic minorities, not just Muslims, but, black people, brown people, all ethnic minorities. They use it to describe traitors, basically, Uncle Tom's traitors. And it's very, very widely used. I've used it many times. So has everybody that I know. So if the police are going to start cracking down on this, then they'll have to arrest millions of people. Now, the issue that I've got with this is that, again, it's white power structures policing our language, because we use it all the time. It's accepted. It's not considered offensive in our communities. The only people that find it offensive are, frankly, white people and the people described in that poster, in that placard. they're the ones that don't like this term because obviously, the ones that are targeted by it feel insulted by it. And it is insulting, not a hate crime in my book, but it's insulting. And the ones that don't like Muslims, the white power structures in this country that basically don't like Muslims and ethnic minorities by extension. So they want to start policing our language, which is completely unacceptable. We shouldn't accept this, but it needs clarification as well, because I think now Muslims are quite scared to use this term. They think they're going to get arrested. I don't believe that's the case, but I do think it needs clarification. If this lady is arrested, I think she's gone through a voluntary police interview. I'm hoping it goes nowhere. If she does, I think the Muslim community and the ethnic minority community will rally around her. They'll pay her legal fees. But even the fact that she's had a police interview, I think is problematic, because this is serving as intimidation on our community, policing our language. They don't get, the white power structure does not get to say what we call each other. Thank you very much. We decide what language we use, and we will continue to use it. And if the police are going to try to intimidate us, that has to be countered. So inshallah, this is something that I'll be following up.
This is there has been a massive backlash to this. You're not the only one who has said these types of things about it. Many high-profile personalities, anti-racism activists from minority communities are condemning this online and on TV. So I think the police are feeling the pressure here, but they seem to be still pursuing it. We'll have to wait and see where this goes. But as you mentioned, this is upsetting a lot of people. It's not the only thing, however, I've noticed that has caused a bit of a controversy. This image here of a police officer went viral. She's kneeling down at Saturday's march next to a child who's, expressing support for Palestine. Now, this was condemned by pro-Israel pundits and onlookers, saying that she was kneeling down, and I quote, to a child dressed as a terrorist. Now, what they're referring to is the Arab shawl, which the child has wrapped around his face, which I'm wearing here today. So for some reason, although it's commonplace in the Arab world, this garment, this shawl, the child is somehow dressed as a terrorist. So what they're saying is, if I do this, I'm now a terrorist. So I'm a terrorist. Oh, no, now I'm back to normal. Oh, I'm a terrorist again. Oh, no, I'm back to normal. It makes absolutely no sense. It's not even the Palestinian kufiyya. This is just an Arab shawl, which is commonplace in Saudi Arabia, in Yemen, Jordan, everywhere in the Arab world they wear this. But for some reason, because this kid was wearing it at a Palestine march, he's been described as dressed as a terrorist. Roshan, give me your reaction to this picture.
Well, I mean, I suppose what they're trying to say is that he's masked up so he looks like a Hamas fighter or something. But I mean, he's a child, so maybe he just didn't want to show his face, and that's the only thing I can think of. Obviously, the police, this policewoman, the police, obviously, we give them a hard time, as we should. They are the authority we should hold to account. But I think this policewoman is just showing a bit of compassion. This is what policing should be like, by the way. It should be community policing, where you're friendly and you try to talk to people. So I commend the police officer for doing that. And
there's going to be no action taken against the officer. This was according to a tweet published by the London Metropolitan account. Exactly. And the fact is, I think that actually this is an example of blatant anti-Arab racism, where they're conflating Arab culture and dress code and all that type of stuff with terrorism. Just because I'm wearing this, I'm somehow linked to a terrorist group. It's exactly the same as trying to conflate Palestinians with ISIS. It's exactly what they've been doing. Even mainstream media platforms have been doing that. And this is all Israeli propaganda points that they're adopting here, and it's being pushed here. And the police are now feeling the pressure, and it seems as if they're trying to take it out on, like you said, anyone that they can in the Palestine marches.
They've got the hump that the police were nice to Palestinian protesters. That's the issue. They don't like that.
Absolutely. So obviously, I think it's concerning, it's frustrating, and literally we've got to defend the cause here, because if we allow them to get away with this, anyone who goes anywhere and says the word Palestine or waves a flag, you're going to be accused of being a terrorist. It's literally that ridiculous. Let's talk about now the lies and propaganda coming out of Israel. There is a flood of lies and propaganda, and they're being debunked online all the time. I'm going to see if I can bring up the first example. This one went absolutely viral just this week. It's the latest example. We're going to talk about a few more as well once we get through this one. This is a video apparently showing an Arab woman in a hospital in Gaza condemning Hamas. Let's play it out now and see exactly what's going on.
I can't believe I'm doing this. But the world has to know what Hamas is making here. They're taking over the entire hospital. They're taking over the fuel, the medicine. I have nothing to treat with. I had to fix a fracture for a 5-year-old boy without morphine because Hamas took it to themselves. Ya Allah, please, if you hear me, please leave, run away, don't stay here, please. يا عالم يا ناس اطلعوا من هون اطلعوا من الشفاء.
So this video has been described as fake by many people. Roshan, react to it. Tell me, do you believe
fake, it? It was retweeted from an official Israeli account as well,
Absolutely.
which made it worse.
It's been shared around, promoted as if it's true, and it's totally fake. Let's just put it out there, it's totally fake. This is the worst acting I've ever seen since, I don't know, Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean or something like that. This is the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life. In fact, I think that this has to be one of the prime examples of where Israel has been so desperate to try and claw back some public relation victory, given the fact that everyone doesn't support Israel at all in what they're doing, that they've come out with this type of desperate stuff, and it's showing off. Everyone can see that how fake it is.
I mean, the whole country is based on a lie, isn't it? And they're just liars. They're pathological liars. They've been caught out lying so many times already in this war. The 40 babies that were beheaded, the babies that were raped, the bunkers under the hospitals, the Hamas headquarters under children's playgrounds, and it's just it's one lie after the other. But this is particularly, I mean, the acting is so bad and cringeworthy. I think this lady is
like fake explosions in the background. Her accent's very peculiar.
It's a Hebrew accent. It's an Israeli accent. The Arabic is not Palestinian Arabic.
She might totally be clean and washed. There's no blood anywhere. There's lights on. It's well lit despite no electricity in Gaza. It's ridiculous. There's another example I want to show you, Roshan, while I've got you, because this one is particularly funny. It's an Israeli soldier who went into a hospital complex and appears to have found one of the tunnels and one of the schedules of Hamas where they kept some of their kidnapped Israelis. Let me play it out now and give you a chance to.
In the 7th of October.
And I will show you more evidence. In this room, there is a list. This list, in Arabic, this list says we are in an operation. The operation against Israel started in the 7th of October. This is a Guardian list where every terrorist writes his name and every terrorist has his own shift guarding the people that were here.
I don't think he realized just how stupid he looked. I don't know if you saw it, but the Arabic on the wall, it was in a hospital room. It's referring to an operation, literally an operation, like a medical operation. He linked it to Hamas somehow. He said there were names on the list. There were no names. It was actually days of the week. And in the top, he was trying to read the Arabic as if he knows Arabic. But he was actually reading it in the wrong direction. He was actually reading it in the wrong direction. So clearly he didn't know anything about what this said. And it's just another example of they're blatantly making stuff up.
Their propaganda is really poor, isn't it? I mean, I saw another one where they claimed that there was this Hamas bunker underneath the hospital, and it was obviously a lift shaft. That's all it was. And I thought that they were actually better at propaganda, because obviously they claim themselves that they're masters of propaganda, but actually they're rank amateurs, because they've been exposed again and again and again. I mean, the golden rule is do not believe anything the Israelis say. Check it once, twice, a million times. They are pathological liars, and it'll be the exception to the rule if they tell the truth one of these days, quite frankly. But these guys are pathological liars. They stole the land, they ethnically cleansed it. Their whole country is a lie. Israel is a lie. They are liars. Full stop.
Yeah, Palestinian academic Ghada Kami said recently that she considers the Israel argument to be an argument of common thieves. She just considers them to be common thieves. And I don't think it's a surprise for a common thief to also be a liar. Because obviously if you stole something, you're going to lie about it.
In a Sharia court, they wouldn't be allowed to give testimony because they're disreputable people. Simple as that.
Exactly. And what about they found Mein Kampf?
Oh, come on. That was the Israeli president, right? He said he found Mein Kampf on the body of a dead Palestinian terrorist or in a children's
bedroom.
Yeah, children's bedroom. Yeah, we just casually have Mein Kampf on our bedside. That's what we do as Muslims. We just read the protocols of the elders of Zion every night and you discuss how we can kill all the Jews. That's what we do. That's who we are.
It's ridiculous. I mean, I don't know why they're aiming so low. If they're going to come out with fake stuff, why don't they just say that, I don't know, like the Palestinians why don't they just say Hitler was Palestinian? He was Palestinian. He was born in Gaza. Stalin was a Palestinian. Anyone everywhere is a Palestinian. The guys who purged the Jews in Spain were Palestinian. Just go. The sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. Just say, I don't know, the world is being destroyed. The Palestinians have nuclear weapons. Whatever you want. Just say anything because they're just making up whatever they want now.
I think the lesson is, let's not overestimate these guys because they have done a lot of propaganda over the years, bigging up their military, bigging up their politics, bigging up their AI, their ability to spy on everyone left, right and centre. And a lot of it is myth. They are weaker than we think. They are much weaker than we think. Do not overestimate these guys at all.
I think that basically they've been so used to not having to work hard to get their lies out there. They can say whatever they want, and the Western mainstream media just gobbles it up. Yes. They literally gobble it up. So they don't even have to work hard. I think this is why we're seeing so many obvious examples, a lot of fake AI images and all that type of stuff, which are easily to see, that type of thing. Let's move on to our final topic. This is an interesting one, which might be quite divisive. I have big opinions on this. It's Jeremy Corbyn's appearance on Piers Morgan. Again, they were discussing the Palestinian issue, but the interview didn't go quite as well as Corbyn probably would have hoped. Let's see. Play it out now.
It's not your show, it's mine. And I keep asking you the same question. Would you keep Hamas in power?
What I said was there has to be a ceasefire. A ceasefire has to be both sides. That ceasefire will then hopefully develop into a longer-term peace.
Well, you think Israel can do...
Hang on a minute.
You think Israel can do peace with Hamas?
Israel has been talking to Hamas for 20 years.
You think they can do peace with them after October the 7th?
They've been listen, October the 7th was abominable and appalling. That we're agreed.
And you think Israel can do peace with people that did that?
I managed to get 2 sentences in between...
Because you won't answer my question.
Look... If you want to have a discussion, fine.
Answer my question.
If you want to just shout at me, that's your prerogative,
should Hamas,
your TV, your show.
Should Hamas stay in power?
Listen, what I said was a ceasefire means a ceasefire. It means both sides have to cease fire.
Yeah.
It means you then...
No, you said that. Should Hamas stay in power? It's actually
Are you done yet?
It's actually a critical question.
Are you done yet?
It's a critical question.
Are you done yet?
No, it's the question.
Are you done yet?
Should they stay in power?
Are you done yet?
This country says they're a terror group. Do you agree? And should they stay in power?
Listen, I do not approve, support, or welcome Hamas.
Are they a terror group?
Everybody knows what they are.
Are they a terror group?
Look, Piers,
can you say it?
Piers, can we have a discussion?
Can you say it?
Can we have a discussion?
Can you call them a terror group? Jeremy,
can we have a discussion?
Can you call them a terror group?
Is it possible to have a...
So it goes on for quite some time like that. Piers Morgan pushing the Hamas, do you condemn Hamas line?
Yeah.
But what do you make of it? Because a lot of people, I think, feel that Piers Morgan was being unfair on Corbyn. But I feel like Corbyn he should have known he was going into hostile territory.
I think a lot of people will expect me to defend Corbyn and hate on Piers Morgan, but actually I'm going to do the opposite because Piers Morgan is who he is. We all know what he's about. It was a very poor decision of Jeremy Corbyn to go on that show because if you go on that show knowing the kind of interviewer Piers Morgan and he interrupts you all the time, doesn't give you the space to speak, you've got to win, and Corbyn didn't win there, he lost, and that's the only clip that anyone's ever going to see of that interview, and it's been seen millions, tens of millions of times. Very poor decision. Jeremy Corbyn is someone, by the way, that's turned down 5 pillars in the past or just earlier this year.
How dare you, Corbyn,
and
turn us down.
That is why I'm hating on him right now. It's a personal grudge. No, he's turned down electronic internet intifada. So I would say that he should have gone on electronic intifada before us, because they're the major Palestinian platform in this country. But he's turned down platforms where he would have had the space to speak and expand on his thoughts, and he would have been treated with dignity and politeness while at the same time being challenged. Instead, he's decided to go on this platform with Piers Morgan, who's absolutely harangued him and quite frankly slaughtered him and destroyed him. So it's a very poor decision from Jeremy Corbyn. I personally think that Muslims should forget about Jeremy Corbyn now. Yes, he was nice to us in the past. Yes, he's better than so many others. But I think the mistake that we made is that we made him into our leader, in effect, during several years. That was a huge mistake by the Muslim community. And now he doesn't serve any purpose. I mean, I went to a Palestinian rally a few weeks ago, and he did his speech. I didn't even broadcast his speech because I couldn't be bothered, because he's not my leader. And he's a nice guy, but he's not our teacher.
He's a defeated force, isn't he? I mean, he didn't get to number 10. His legacy in the Labour Party, he's not even in the Labour Party anymore. He got booted out, and he hasn't been able to change the party long term because he allowed a purge to happen. Yesterday's man has been. I think the best place for Jeremy Corbyn right now is on a cabbage patch somewhere, tweeting
allotments.
Allotments somewhere, tweeting in support of Palestine.
Tending to his gnomes.
He's got an audience. He has a fan base. He can make a little impact online, but he's a spent force, and he's a failure ultimately.
He's useful to us to a certain extent. He shouldn't be an enemy to us, because obviously he's useful in certain ways. He just amplifies certain messages, but he's just not our leader, not our teacher. He still bangs on about a two-state solution, and anyone that does that, in my book, is a soft Zionist. So I mean, I just ignore him these days, and I think he should retire gracefully.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the one thing I really find irritating. I find Corbyn irritating now, to be honest with you, Roshan. I'm someone who really went above and beyond to try and support him when he was leader of the Labour Party. I find him so irritating because, he has nothing to lose. He's had a full career. He's probably got a lovely pension. He's been living off an MP's salary for years. I'm sure his house is in order and everything like that. He's at retirement age now. He could have gone in so hard for Palestine. Could have gone in so hard. Okay, maybe he wouldn't have got to number 10. But at least he could have pushed that message, stood by his principles. Now what is he? He's a guy who sold out his supporters early on. He's backtracked.
Threw Ken Livingstone under the bus.
Yeah, he's betrayed a lot of his proper loyal friends, colleagues and supporters. Because of what? The rubbish advice that he's got. He's got whoever his advisors are idiots.
He's still got rubbish
surrounded
advisors.
by idiots. It's like they advised. I think Dilly mentioned that he agreed to Five Pillars interview Corbyn.
His PR guy stopped him.
His PR guy stopped him. What an idiot. That guy's an idiot.
Disgrace.
Why did he step in? Just
because he's looking at white Britain and thinking, how will it play out? Because is Five Pillars a radical platform and this and that? I guess that's the thinking.
Get stuffed. He's supposed to be a radical.
72 years old or something. 73 years old. He shouldn't be thinking that way anymore. He's not going to become prime minister anymore.
They talk about a cultural revolution and changing things for the working man. And what? Five Pillars is too radical for you? Oh, get stuffed. Get stuffed. You're rubbish. That his advisors should have been sacked early on, and Corbyn is a spent force. I'm over him, you're over him. Just get over him. He's used. He can't even handle a Piers Morgan interview.
But I would just like to say that if you'd given us the interview, I wouldn't have said any of that. I would have said he's a great guy.
There you go. That's your advisors for you. You've now made another media platform turn on you. But that's obviously a lot going on in the news. But one thing I will say, Roshan, is we are ending our time here, but the good news is that we're going to make this a weekly fixture, because we're going to launch a brand new show exclusively on Five Pillars, where you're going to get to watch me and Roshan react to the news every single week. Lucky you. But also we'll give you guys a chance to get involved in the discussion eventually as well, once things kick off officially next week. Every Thursday is going to be the day where you'll get to join our discussion and hear from us as we react to the news, and we'll be discussing everything of interest to the Muslim world, everything that you want to hear, and we'll be doing it from a Muslim-friendly perspective for once, and we'll be hitting back at all those misconceptions and misinformation and fake news that's peddled by the mainstream, routinely targeting and attacking Muslim readers, Muslim viewers, Muslim citizens all around the world. Is there anything you want to add to that, Rachel?
Yeah, the only thing is that, I guess some of the viewers, or one or two of the viewers, might have watched the big picture, because our audience was like one or two. But no, that's just a stupid joke. But this is kind of of a natural kind of...
This is bigger, it's better, it's got me involved, so you know it's going to be better. I'll be supporting Roshan as well.
We used to do a live stream, The Big Picture. I did it very irregularly. Whenever I did it, alhamdulillah, we got an audience, lots of interaction. So this is going to be a bigger and better version of The Big Picture. It will be after Isha prayer, probably on every Thursday. We're going to commit to doing it every week. Inshallah, we'll have a studio guest with us every week as well. We'll have people on Skype we can talk to. We'll have audience interaction. We'll have the comments. We'll have, just
radical
a kind
reaction.
of
Radical reaction.
We're thinking the name is going to be Radical Reactions. I'm not 100% sure. If you have better ideas, then please send them in and we'll completely ignore them and we'll go with Radical Reaction. But
whatever we want.
Yeah, Radical Reactions. We kind of like that name. We're not 100% sure yet, but it'll probably be called Radical Reactions.
Well, whatever the name of the show ends up being, it will be going live from next week. So make sure you join us there and then. And thank you to everyone who's viewed in for now. Please like, share and subscribe. It helps 5 Pillars immensely. And until next time, from me, Robert and Roshan, it's Assalamu alaikum for now.
Assalamu alaikum.